actually, I wasn't. I had my mic muted. That's great. I was saying, happy Saturday, everybody. We're gonna pick up on the Purussaurus where we left off last Saturday on the scaling. We're working on scales down the length of the back, the tail. So I'll be working on that more. Probably getting up here into the neck and stuff too. Just try to complete like as much of the scales as we can on this guy. And yeah, we'll just keep moving. Daryl, hi. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so let's see. Try just getting my reference back up on my screen. Trying to remember where I was on my sheet. Okay. Just need to get a little bit resituated. Get this mic closer. So this is all been on a layer. Let's see what's on here. All this stuff. I'm gonna add another one just in case. I'll probably merge these down today, because I'm feeling pretty confident about the way the scales are going. Where is my stuff? Try this. I'm just gonna redefine some stuff, make it more kind of solidified, I suppose. And then we'll start getting back into the groove of it, hopefully. I'm just checking some stuff on Discord. Okay, cool. Let's see. what has happened this week? Honestly, I feel like this week has been a bit of a blur. It felt like it went by really fast, and it also felt like it went by really slow at the same time, which is kind of weird. There's a lot of stuff to do. As I think I was talking about it last stream, but because of the holidays coming up, sort of the last couple of weeks of December are kind of like nothing really gets done, you know, in the industry. Like everybody's going on break and stuff. So everybody wants their stuff completed before everybody leaves. So it's kind of a bit of a scramble. Feels like the end of the year is always that way. But it's good that, you know, after, I mean, what's today? Today's the 14th. You have one more week, and then after that, it's pretty much like it'll be kind of calm, and I'll get a bit of a break for a while, which is nice. Looking forward to that. I think I'm going to be I'm trying to relax as much as I can, I suppose. And then probably doing some gaming, catching up on some games that I kind of missed or I didn't get a chance to check out yet. Let me see what I think I'll probably be playing Elden Ring, the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, because I have not played that yet. I'm really looking forward to it because it seems like it's I mean, what I've heard about it so far from my friends has been really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that. Void. I'm doing well today, thanks. Still kind of waking up. Sorry for my voice. It's kind of rough right now, but as I get warmed up, hopefully that'll go away. Eva Draconis. Incredible amount of handcrafted detail. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Eva. That's very nice of you. Definitely trying to do my best here. We'll get this. I want to build even more on top of this foundation, so I hope it'll even get more detailed as we go. Yeah, it's always it's been interesting to see how this is developing. I've been kind of keeping a record of like progress. Well, obviously we have it recorded, you know, it's on YouTube. But like I have each of the files that I've done, you know, each stream has its own file, so I can go back and like compare like what I did in a stream. And it's been interesting to see like a moving record of what is achievable in a 2-hour time span. It's kind of changing the perspective I have on how I work, which has been helpful. Yeah, looking forward to getting into some gaming over the break. I think my wife and I are going to try to finish Final Fantasy Rebirth, which is going to be cool. So we've been playing that game for, since it came out, like kind of off and on. That game's huge. I did not anticipate. I knew it was going to be like open world and all that stuff, but I didn't think it was going to be like. I think it's maybe like 100+ hour game for us now. I don't know. We've kind of been doing everything. Maybe if you just focus on the main story, it's much shorter. But yeah, that game is big. What else is going on? I've been enjoying Marvel Rivals. That game has been fun so far. I've been playing with a few of my friends. I really enjoyed playing Overwatch. It's kind of a thing that my buddies used to get together and do. And I really, I mean, the game was fun for sure, but I really enjoyed the characters and stuff. So it was really sad to see like the gradual kind of shift in the game and like how the game has like kind of degenerated a little bit. It's not really the game I like to play anymore. So that's kind of sad, but I feel like Rivals has kind of got the spirit of that back. So it's been really fun to get back into an Overwatch kind of like game. Good hero shooter. Oh, nice. Void. That would be cool. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. What characters do you like to play? I find it very surprising, but like a ton of the characters in Rivals are really fun, of course, but I find myself playing a lot of healers, which is weird because in Overwatch I never really played healers. Like there may be like one or two if I had to, because of the role queue and stuff. But yeah, the healers in Rivals are really, really cool, I think. But yeah, that's been fun. The Game Awards. Oh, we could talk about the Game Awards, right? That was recently. I didn't watch the whole thing. Void, Moon Knight, Jeff, Panther is really cool. I've been learning how to use Panther too. Just started working on him yesterday. Jeff is cool too. I like him a lot. He's funny. And he's super I like his ultimate. So for those of you who don't know, Jeff is a little shark guy, and he can heal. And his ultimate is like he'll burrow into the ground and like he creates this big whirlpool, and he can bite onto like multiple characters and take them into his mouth, and you can like spit them out off of the map. It's pretty funny. It's kind of a trolly, very trolly but really powerful ultimate. So I like him a lot, and he's a cool little cute little shark guy. Anytime I can play like some sort of like creature, it's pretty fun. Like in Overwatch, I was a big fan of Hammond, or I guess his official name is Wrecking Ball. He's like a little hamster running around in a big ball. He was really fun. I think he was probably my favorite character in there. Yeah, Void. I've been playing a lot of those characters as well. I've really started to like Cloak and Dagger for healing. I don't know why exactly. It kind of just clicked with me. Who else have I been liking so far? In terms of tanks, I like Magneto a lot. And then for damage dealers, I don't know if I've settled on a damage dealer yet. Or like a DPS. I've kind of been jumping around. I need to kind of work with them. I think I'm going to start to like Panther a lot. Black Panther. Once I get his like combo, like his abilities down. He's kind of got a weird, not weird, but just very, a little bit more complicated. You got to think about what you're doing a little bit more when you're setting up an attack. That's pretty much why I like him, though. I like characters that have a little bit more kind of depth to them. I think that might be why I like Cloak and Dagger a lot, because of the switching mechanic. I have to balance both sides of the character, damage versus healing. That's probably why I like them. I tend to like more kind of like characters that have like, you have to have additional stuff to manage, because I don't know, I think it adds a lot of, there's like a multitasking aspect to it that I think adds a lot to the gameplay. It's kind of like in Cloak and Dagger is dangerous when utilized correctly. Yeah, I think it can be really cool. Magic is apparently S tier. Once you master her, she's used a lot in diamond ranks and above. Oh, really? Okay, cool. That's one character I haven't tried yet. She looks really cool though. I like her demon form. But yeah, I tend to like more complicated, like even in like games like Monster Hunter, I'll tend to go for the more like my favorite, one of my favorite weapons is Charge Blade, because there's kind of a lot to deal with there. You gotta have charge your files, charge your sword, your shield. You gotta manage additional stuff on top of managing your spacing and watching what the monster's doing and stuff too. Lance player. Yeah, no worries. I mean, I think all of the Monster Hunter is one of the, I think, rare instances in a video game where like I don't think you can really go wrong with whatever weapon you pick. My mains are, I kind of have three that I alternate. The Charge Blade, Insect Glaive, and Switch Axe. I like bows too. I've like in World especially, I kind of played everything at one point. You know, went through like multiple phases of just using anything and everything. Used I would actually swap to like mid fight, especially in the later monsters that like the siege battles. Like there were times like when I would switch from like midway, I would use like maybe like a bow gun to break certain parts and then switch back to like a melee to do damage in partway through the fight. So yeah, I like them all. Pick you hand sculpt scales. Yeah. No, I mean, there's multiple ways to go about it, but I think the scales here are very specific. So there's no, in my opinion, there's no real way around it. Like if this were maybe like a dinosaur or something that had big areas of similar scales around, I could probably get away with doing like an alpha or maybe like a tileable. But this, maybe like in areas like this here that I get that are getting like really tiny scales, I could do a alpha. I might do that, but the bigger ones I think definitely need to be hand sculpted. They're just gonna look better that way. I mean, in my opinion. I think you can kind of tell, at least, I mean, I feel like I can tell when somebody's used a tileable or like a, an alpha, because there's just a certain amount of repetitiveness. You know, depending on, and yeah, it depends on the quality of like the alpha that they're using too. 'Cause sometimes, you know, if you make a good alpha or a good tileable texture, then there should be some like inbuilt variation. And that'll help like break up the monotony of it. But a lot of times, especially in newer sculptors' work, you can kind of tell that they're using an alpha. So I don't want that to come across here. I don't want this to look like that at all. So even though it may take more time, I'm definitely gonna do the approach that looks better, you know. And then who knows, maybe like, so once I get an established sort of texture, you can kind of sample your own texture, you know? I can kind of show that later, maybe this stream. If I get far enough. Because this is yeah, it's kind of hard to explain what's going through my head right now, as far as like the stages that I'm planning. This is like, I would say this is like kind of like a block in of the detail. Like I'm kind of just taking note of where it is. You might see me like sharpen stuff here and there, but this is like, this isn't as sharp as it's going to be, because like the mesh is still fairly low resolution. So I can't really dig in and get into the amount of detail that I will end up getting into, and that's on purpose, because I know, if I subdivide this mesh high enough, then I'll get bogged down in trying to detail everything. That's kind of just my tendency. And I don't want to get bogged down. I want to just fill in areas. So keeping it lower kind of helps me not to do that, because there's just no way. There's no way I can detail higher because the mesh won't allow it. It just doesn't have enough resolution to grab the detail. So I'm just trying to get a move on. And we'll place like abbreviated versions of the texture down. We'll get specific where I need to, but it's mostly going to be kind of like this, like slightly, I guess you could say it's kind of like a blurry-ish version of the texture, and then I'll come back and do another pass and kind of sharpen things up. Void, have you beaten World Iceborne? I think Elatrion and Fatalis were the most fun fights. Same with Nergigante, both variants in Zenogre. Yeah, I have a ton of hours in World and Iceborne. I did do the Elatrion and Fatalis fights. Those were some of my favorite fights, like in all of Monster Hunter, I think, so far. My friends and I had a ton of fun fighting those guys. They were really hard for sure. Like we got killed so many times, especially for Fatalis. We were fighting that guy for like, I don't know, probably like a week, just trying to get enough to kill him. And it was just my, we have a group of friends that, we can fully get like a full hunting party together, but, for the Fatalis fight, it was pretty much just like 3 of us, and then my other friend got kind of busy. So we had, beat Fatalis just, duos. My friend and I. That was really fun. It made it kind of hard, but we both really had to learn his moveset. And we got really familiar with him. I mean, his armor set and his weapons look so cool. Same with Elatrion. I think those 2 armor sets, Safi Jiva's set looks really sick. All those Safi weapons look really cool too. Yeah, they're just like those end game boss monsters were just so well done, I think, in World and Iceborne. Pick must be taking ages sculpting that beast. How many hours do we have so far? We have 18 hours on this. So, I mean, it's not taking any longer or, any shorter or longer than any other dinosaur or whatever other creature I've sculpted. It's pretty average for the pace, As we've just been talking, for 20-30 minutes, and I've filled in this whole area right here. So it's just one of those things, like, you got to practice. I've been doing this for like 10 years, so I'm pretty fast when it comes to blocking in an area of scales. And, time and experience definitely has an effect on how fast you can go. More time you spend, the faster you can get. And then it's just a matter of like I think a lot of the times people, when they hear like, oh, you got to sculpt like a dragon, and then they're like, oh, but all those scales, it's like, they focus so much on how much, how many scales. It's a whole dragon, it's a whole body full of scales, and they get like kind of overwhelmed themselves about like how much stuff there is to do, and you really can't. In my opinion, you really can't do that. You just gotta like sit down, spend a couple hours, and say like, okay, in this session, I'm gonna get this section of the body done. Like, I'm gonna get the scales on the neck done. I'm gonna get the scales on the arms done. Scales on the torso done. Just kind of break it up in sections, and just try to get into the groove and get going on it. That's really the only way you can kind of complete stuff like this. If you focus so much on how much there needs to be done and how long it's taking, then it's kind of, you're gonna tax yourself, you know. I always compare it to like running. It's kind of a lesson I learned from doing a lot of like, I didn't do track and field or anything like that. I just enjoy to run. And I had a friend who was big in track and field, and he kind of taught me like ways to like pace yourself, proper like technique, I suppose, when it comes to running. But one of the things that I really learned from running is like, you can't really focus on how long, like say you're trying to run 2 miles or something, which isn't really that long. But you can't really focus on like how long you have to run. You just kind of focus on like what you're doing in that moment, your breathing, your pace, you know, trying to stay loose and relaxed as much as possible, and just kind of maintain and just go. And then by the time, you know, before you know it, you're done with the run. Similar kind of idea. Void, when it comes to 3D and 2D, the effort is definitely way more worth it in the end. It takes 80% more, but the result is 10 times better. Yeah, I think so too. Like I did ooh, let me show you. I think I might have it on my ArtStation page. I wonder if I ever posted that. No, I think it's probably on my DeviantArt then. The DeviantArt that I abandoned long ago. Where are you? Huh. I know I posted it on Blue Sky then. That was more recent. Yeah, here we are. I talk about it on Blue Sky too. But this coelacanth that I did, this is where I kind of like, I don't know, internalized all this stuff basically. But like this coelacanth, the way that the scales are, like I tried so many different ways to like automate it, or not automate it, but like make it quote unquote easier. I tried alphas, I tried like different types of, you know, things that use repetitive like scale textures to apply the scales on him. And everything that used like a tileable or anything like that, it just didn't look right. You could just tell that it was tiled, or, you know, an alpha or whatever. So in the end, to get the correct look for it, because the scales are so specific, I had to would hand mask everything, extrude it, like I would do. I'll do a little demo here. This is before like VDMs and like all this stuff that ZBrush has now. So I would mask it, I would fade the base, then I would come in with like I think it was Form Soft, pop up the edge, get the move, get an angle on it, and then kind of overlap like that. And then I would come back in and do a little bit of sculpting on the scale like this. Obviously better than that, but and then I would move on to the next scale, you know. And I just did that for each scale. And that was the only way I could get the effect that I wanted to get. It took a long time, but it looks much better, I think. I'm very interested in how others make their models so detailed. I've been trying to get something that level of quality. Amazing work. Thank you. Yeah, like, you know, it's definitely like a strategic thing. You kind of have to, I don't know, there's a time and a place to do scales like this. Crocs, I think, are a special instance, especially on scales on the back like this, because like I said, I don't think you can create an alpha that looks natural enough to be repeated and still get this kind of like unique variation. Certain types of fish, like fish with very small scales, you can do like anything that's small and very like high frequency, you can tend to get away with like alphas. Or a tileable. Like on the, like here on the bottoms of the feet, you can probably do a tileable because it's fairly uniform and they're tiny. Where else could you maybe do a tileable? Maybe certain areas like around the joints where the scales get kind of tiny because of the movement. Like here, you can maybe do one. Where else? That might be it on a croc. Certain areas like in the face, like there's like noisiness that you can apply stuff to, and we'll get to that when we get there, like this kind of thing. Yeah, so you kind of got to pick your areas. It's just right now we're in an area that requires a lot of hand sculpted stuff. Void Fatalis kicks butt, but it's also so addicting. He is, yeah. He's very addicting to fight. Void, I'm going to slowly go for now. Wanted to stop by. Time to buy Christmas gifts Shopping mall at the shopping mall. Okay, good luck. Winston. Winston, have there been any plans to add flyers? I am not sure if I am able to speak about that. I don't want to like reveal things. So I don't know. That might be a question for Islander if he's in here, or maybe you can ask on Discord. I'm not really sure what's been announced and what hasn't been announced. I'm not going to be the one to spill the beans, you know, here. So I'll leave it up to the other devs to kind of like make announcements of like what's planned and what's not planned. All I really know is that I need to get this guy done. Right. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So a lot of this, there's areas on the model that are kind of dependent on, I need to like block in, I need to get the folds more specific so that way I can add the scales because the scales follow the folds. So if I don't have the folds in, I can't do the scales. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I noticed that's what I need on the neck. Let's see. What's going on in here? There's a bunch of pinching happening. I don't like it. It's not gonna matter anyway, but I'm just gonna take it out. So here is kind of, I'm using the wrinkles kind of like border lines, I guess, for the placement of the scales. So the scales, excuse me, the scales fit within the borders of those wrinkles. They don't go outside of them. That's one of the reasons why I need those placed before I can do any scale detail. Let's see. Find a reference of the side view. So, okay, so this area right here is kind of a transition area because this is where the scales of the belly are transitioning up to the side. So I want to be a little bit considerate there. I'm not quite sure how that transition is going to happen yet. But I do know pretty tired. Let's see. I do know what the scales on the belly should look like. They're gonna look like this. Actually, I think maybe this is upside down. They're pretty rectangular, so they're not too hard to like. Not gonna be too hard to sculpt or anything. It's just I gotta lay them out. So I'm gonna try and do some of that right now. I'm gonna flatten out his chest a little bit because I think it's a bit too defined. It's good to know where those muscles are, but these are too visible the way they are. Flatten, soften that out. I actually should save. One thing that I did over the past week is I've been experimenting with turning the autosave feature off of ZBrush because, well, one of my friends we were talking about how ZBrush has become kind of like, I feel like it's become more unstable. I've just been noticing that it crashes a lot more. And I've been looking into why. And I think, the first thing that I thought of was maybe it's my computer. Maybe it's just getting old. Maybe I need to update something. maybe the issue is with my stuff, you know. That's what I thought at first, but looking into it, I think a lot of the sculpting community has kind of noticed that it's kind of not been behaving as it used to. And one thing that we started talking about was like how disruptive the autosave feature was, because so first of all, the autosave used to be fine. Like it would just autosave every 20 minutes, I believe. And yeah, you know, depending on you can save the history bar in you can enable or disable it to save the history. And if you enable the history, the autosave takes like forever to save. So like every 20 minutes, you're like waiting like I'd say like 2-3 minutes, sometimes even longer, depending on how many actions you've done in that period of time and how big your file is. So if you think about like multiple subtools, each of them could be, you know, a few million polys each, plus the history of all the actions that you've done, and it's trying to auto save that, so it can take a while to save. I usually don't save. I don't keep the history on the autosave. I just ignore that. So it makes the autosaves quicker, but it still can take a pretty long amount of time. And then more recently, ZBrush likes to crash after it autosaves, which has been really annoying. So my friend and I were talking about that, and he was talking about how ZBrush has become, it was like a much nicer experience when he turned off the autosave feature, because you just didn't have to like sit around and wait every 20 minutes. It can be pretty disruptive to the workflow, like to the flow state of things. You know, you want to keep momentum, and when every 20 minutes you're stopped, you have to wait around, and there's a potential that you're going to get crash, and then you have to wait more for like the program to close itself out, and then you got to reopen it and reload up everything. Yeah, it kind of, I saw his point. So I've been trying to do that too. Well, not trying, I disabled it. The only bad thing is I have to remember to save. I can't just rely on ZBrush to do that for me. But so far, I think I would agree with him that it's been a lot nicer to use because I'm not being disrupted so often. But it is kind of scary because those auto saves have gotten me out of a pinch or two in the past. So not having them there, it'll still auto save if I like let the program idle for like a minute. So I still have auto saves, but they're just not as frequent and like evenly spaced out as they used to be. Eva Draconis, make sure you have several save as copies of this project for sure. Yeah. I think I have like I have one for each stream. And I usually in other projects I save man, I have a lot of I have a lot of saves. It can be kind of crazy to see some of my files, like how many there are. So I just think about all the storage they're taking up. I need to go back and sort through a lot of them. A lot of completed stuff that I need to sort through. Ronan, thank you. I get some of these belly scales in there because I think it'll help kind of like make him feel a little bit more complete. I started working on those and then I got distracted on the other scales. So I should probably just add these in. I'm going to add another layer just for these guys specifically. This might be a good opportunity for the slash brush. Slash, where is it? This one. Ronan, how long does it usually take for a model like this to be completed? It varies for sure. And it's kind of hard to say because of like, we're working on this like every week, so it's not like a continuous thing. But I would say if I were to work on this model, if imagining if I were working on this like full time, right? Like 8 hours a day, like a regular job. I would say I could finish the high poly in about a week and a half, maybe, I think. I mean, eventually, right, we'll have we'll have a definitive answer. Because I'll have all of this recorded on YouTube, and we can actually tell how many hours it took me to finish. So in a while, I'll be able to actually definitely tell you how long it took me. But I would say that's my estimate right now, based on like all of the other sculpts and stuff that I've done. Yeah. Honestly, like this part of the model, this part of like sculpting or like the modeling phase, whatever you want to call it, is to me, that's not the most time consuming, or at least it doesn't seem like that. To me, the most time consuming part of the whole process is it's like all the retopology, the UVs, the baking, that stuff is where I feel like I work the hardest. Not really this part. Osaka, I like your work. Thank you. But yeah, it can vary. Like for dinosaurs, I kind of, I have my workflow pretty much down pat, so I could confidently say that like I could probably do, if I had time to just focus on a dinosaur, I could probably get a whole model done in like a couple weeks. And that's like from beginning to end, like concept, sculpt, textures, all that stuff. Marinara, thank you very much. Christmas, I like your Godzilla models in the back. I have some myself. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy collecting figures like that. I'm a big fan of SH Figure Arts, SH Monster Arts, that line of action figures. So I collect a lot of those. I have a lot of those guys. There's still some that I want to get my hands on, but I haven't. They're pretty expensive, right? And like the only place I can find them now is like on eBay, and they're like super expensive. But I have dreams of owning a few different. Like I want. There's a figure of Destroya that I want. But I have not been able to find one that I can. That's like in good condition. That's a decent price just yet. So I'm still looking for one. What else? Currently I'm collecting. I mean, anytime a Godzilla one pops up, I don't necessarily feel like I need to have like every single Godzilla. There's certain characters that I don't really like, that I don't really care if I have their figure or not, but I always keep an eye out for them. And then lately I've been really excited about SH Monster Arts Monster Hunter line that they have. So I have pretty much all of those right now. Yeah, I have them back here. They're not on camera. Yeah, they're not on camera. They're back to my right. What else do I got? There's some stuff from NECA that I have like in front of me. I have all my Pacific Rim stuff. So I'm a big fan of Pacific Rim. And NECA had some cool ones. And then like back behind me, I don't know if you can see right there. I have some my Power Ranger stuff and some Digimon stuff. So yeah, I really like collecting figures. And I make action figures too. So I have some of the figures that I've made over there for Beasts of the Mesozoic, and yeah, so far just Beasts of the Mesozoic, because I don't have any of the Cyberzoic stuff from Creative Beast Studio. So yeah, my room is full of action figures. Probably too much, because I'm kind of running out of room. How do you make them? 3D prints? Yeah. Let me see. So these guys were done for, like, this guy. He's one of the figures that I made for Creative Beast Studio for Cyberzoic. So it's all done in ZBrush and then cut up and prepared in ZBrush, and then I 3D print them on my printers here. So I've done the prototypes for that guy. I actually have a new prototype sitting over there. I can't really share that right now, but I hope to share it soon. Yeah, it's just sculpting, and then like it starts out like this, pretty much exactly, and then it's just cut up and prepared for 3D printing instead of like the like EVs and stuff that I'll have to do for this guy. I'm gonna store morph target, and then I'll start sketching in the rest of these just so I can get them in faster. The package art for that dragon was actually, I did the package illustration, and the packaging for it was just like revealed yesterday, I think, on Twitter. Serrato, how many years of experience do you have making models? I started making 3D models in 2012. So 13 years. Almost 13 years. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you just count, if it's just digital sculpting, you're counting. But I've been sculpting for a lot longer than that. But I did like traditional stuff in clay. Thank you. Thanks, Serrato. So what I'm doing here is just kind of adding irregularity, kind of noise to the surface. It's kind of just random imperfection. Just to get a different shape, different like, so that way they're not just like so smooth and conforming to the outline of the surface, you know. I mean the like, yeah, the what would you call it, the contour of the surface. I want each scale to kind of have its own little kind of like if you look at this here, you can see each scale has like little divots and stuff in it. It's got like the edges are different. They're not like perfectly aligned to the surface. So I want to give that impression. So that's why I'm kind of lifting certain edges, pushing certain ones down, letting other ones overlap, adding a little like dents and stuff. So, because when I come back and smooth these out a little bit more, you'll see that sort of, see how the light reacts on there. That's kind of that's what I'm going for. We'll make it better as we go. That's kind of just like a first pass, but I want that quality. Sorry, I'm getting kind of zoning out here. doing all of these shingle scales. Kind of got wrapped up there for a second. This stuff can be pretty what's the word? Like the repetitiveness of it can kind of be a little bit like some people will find it monotonous. Sometimes it does feel that way. And then other times it can kind of like I guess be kind of meditative. That might not be the right word. Like it'll you'll kind of find that your like brain goes into like automatic mode, and then you'll just kind of like go through a whole section of scales and not really realize how fast it's or how long it's been or how fast you've done it. But all of a sudden a whole section will be done and you'll look up and realize the time and stuff. Can be a good thing, like getting into I feel like that's kind of a productive thing because it helps you like get through lots of sections of detail without like feeling like it's super overwhelming. You can just kind of lose yourself in the process a bit. So what's going to happen here is so this transition is going to be pretty interesting because what happens is they kind of like subdivide themselves. So you have a trackway, right? You'll have this trackway. As it reaches the side plane, what you'll end up getting is like a division into, so it goes from one track to two. And then you might get a second division where it goes from 2 to 4. And each of these tracks becomes its own like little section of scales like this. And then it'll blend in pretty seamlessly to this area. As a matter of fact, I can kind of just do it here. We'll do this section so I can show you. And we'll use kind of a different method here too. This is actually a decent way to do these. Just like drawing them out is another viable way to do stuff like this. Just I chose not to do it that way this time. But you could like draw or paint these scales onto the surface and then mask them and then extrude them out or in or whatever you needed. Sharpen, invert. Oh, I need to click on the outside. Invert, there we go. And then the separation. these up a little. It's gonna be kind of messy, but you see, like, that's kind of how it will transition into the rest of this stuff over here. Where is my... So these scales will meet these scales over here. And actually I could probably drag these up a little bit more. So you can see I'm not really scared of redoing these if they make the flow look better. So I'll just, even though I have scales there, I'll just go right on top. Because it's ultimately just going to add like surface variation to the model, which is good. So even if you need to correct, sorry, I'm yawning a lot today. Even if you need to correct certain areas, it's pretty easy to do. Beast Nugget, show the whole model. Yeah, give me 1 second. There's the whole model. So yeah, I think you kind of see how that's going to work there. That transition area. Thanks, Beast Nugget. Thank you. Yeah, we'll just keep going with these belly scales because I think they're helping a lot to just like, I mean, we got to do them anyway, right? So now that we got a roll on them, we'll just finish them. I'm just cleaning this up a little bit, going back over the pinch just to tighten the creases. Yeah, I think we should be able to get through a majority of these today. Get all these belly scales in there. Let's see if I can get a nicer view of these belly scales. On a different reference. That one could be cool, but it's very small. Wish I had a bigger version. So one interesting thing that I'm noticing since I found that ref is there is a bit of there's like a shape going on that I like in one of these references. So I've been treating this like a grid, right? So like this, and for the most part it is. Especially like up here in the chest, it's pretty grid-like. But then as we get down in the belly, there starts to be like this shape like this. Kind of like a, I don't know what you would call it. It just kind of, it basically follows the shape of the belly form. It's kind of slightly curved. It's still kind of gridded. But it's got this like slightly bowed out kind of shape to the scales that I do want to try to get that in there. So I don't think we'll need to redo anything too much. It's just like changing some of the flow of this and just being mindful of some of these are like part of this like different shape. And there's actually some weird like I'm just going to draw it out because it's probably more efficient that way. Draw this out like this. Here's what we'll do. Color. I'm gonna fill this with white. Even let's see if it's might have been white already. And then we'll invert that, and then we'll fill this with black, so we actually have lines. Right? No, because it's gonna make me do this weird stuff with the baking. Yep, I knew it. Okay. So Polypaint and what's it called? Polypaint and layers don't really like each other very much, I've found. Like I need to change this. And then go back to, sorry guys, I'm just kind of correcting some, there's like weirdness there that I don't like. It's just because like somewhere along the line, some of these brushes that are in here, they have see this thing right here, mRGB, RGB, M. They have these enabled sometimes. So that means when you're sculpting with color. So RGB is just color, mRGB is material and color, and M is just material. So different brushes have different arrangements of these. It's like sometimes you can be sculpting and adding color. Sometimes you can be sculpting and adding a material. And as you're going through the process, I mean, I don't pay attention to that stuff. Like, I think the clay brush, yeah, it has RGB enabled. Most of the time it doesn't matter because you're just sculpting. You don't really care that something's painted on or not painted on, whatever it may be. But if you ever want to, you know, paint onto the model, then it becomes a problem because you've unknowingly painted a color or like a material on, and now you just gotta deal with it, you know. It can be a little bit annoying, but we fixed it. Just paint over it with a different color, and then just keep on going. So when I'm trying to get scales and I'm trying to get them with a specific flow in mind, there we go again. What do I want to do here? I want to fill it with this. That way it's like there's no material attachment to anything. That way I can switch materials without having to switch the colors around and stuff. There we go. Sorry about that. But what I was saying is when I want to get like a specific flow to scales on a model, a lot of the time I will just switch back to I will do this. I will draw it out first. Because it can help. It helps me visualize the flow of the scales much better. Yeah, and like sometimes I just feel like you know, I started out as an illustrator. I didn't start out as a sculptor. So for the majority of my life, I've been drawing. I draw and paint. So sometimes it helps to kind of leverage that sort of. Sometimes things are just easier to draw than sculpt. Sometimes things are just make more sense when you approach it with a different mindset of like, yeah, drawing versus sculpting, or painting versus sculpting, or, you know, any combination of any of that. So right now, what makes most sense to me, what I'm feeling, is that drawing these scales out is going to be the easiest way for me to achieve that flow that I want without wasting a lot of time like going back and forth. And it does like this weird thing. I'm looking at the refs. This actually kind of reminds me of like some like retopology stuff. The way that these like scales are flowing into each other. I've seen people do these sort of patterns to like divide up their model when they're retopoing to get more or less resolution in some certain areas. But yeah, it does this kind of strange like transition where these lines kind of converge. So I'm trying to take that into account too. And this one seems a little too big. So we'll take that out there. Actually, let's see how this ends up going. Yeah, I think this one's too big. cool thing about doing it this way too is that if I keep the not the UVs, if I keep the Polypaint on this mesh, if for any reason like things change or like something gets messed up, I can always turn the Polypaint back on and then mask it and then reapply the scale detail. You could even do that. I mean, we could do that over here too, like as these get subdivided. Just to kind of map out this transition. So as we get closer to the sides, these become circular. Like that. Hello, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Yeah, so I stored a morph target earlier, I think. If I use the morph brush. So you see these lines that I started putting in? They're not correct now, according to the flow that we've like reestablished with the sketch. So, but because I stored this morph target, I can erase them pretty easily. Erase them, and then we'll I'll show you what I'm going to do with these this paint application. Okay, so I'm going to go to my masking options. Mask by color, mask by intensity. It should be Turn off Polypaint. Is that working? Oh, it's because I have... Give me 1 second. And then I turn off Polypaint. There we go. And then let's see. Firm soft, form soft. I'm slowly going to like raise these out. And they're not going to be, you know, I could spend more time on this like sketch and get it super precise. But I kind of just want to get it in there. Get all of this stuff going. So that sort of thing, right? And then we can clean it up even further and get more precise from here with all of these other tools. It's starting to work the way I would like it to, I think. Just kind of reinforcing these creases. Turn the Polypaint back on. So this is actually, where's my clay? I think I am going to approach this there we go. I'm going to approach this in this kind of fashion for these rounder scales here. But I have to like kind of have to invert the mask a little bit. This is basically what I'm building here. This paint will eventually become a mask, as you saw me do. But instead of like just line work, I want it to be the full scale. I don't want it just to be the outline of it, because I want to extrude the whole thing. I think this will look pretty cool. It should be pretty fast too, because they're simple oval scales. They're not like some like dinosaurs will have hexagonal scales, so you kind of have to like dial in that shape before you can extrude them or do anything like that. So the ovoid scales are much easier. So I think we only have a couple more minutes. I'm going to finish this little section of scales here just so you can see what I'm going to be doing. And then we'll probably just wrap it up for today. If you have any last minute questions or anything for me, comments, anything, feel free to leave them in the comment section before we wrap up. And yeah, I hope you all, I'm not sure. So next week is the week before Christmas. I think we can do one more stream. I believe. Let me see. Yeah, the 21st should be fine. I think. So we should be able to do one more stream before the break. Should be nice. And then I'll probably be gone for Christmas and New Year's. And we'll close out the year that way, I think. So we'll probably do next week. We'll be doing more scales. We'll be scaling this guy for a while. So I hope you guys will stick around for all of that. Mask by intensity. Invert. And I want to. Oh, it's because I am. There we go. I always forget that. And I want to form. Just pop these guys out really quick. Petresco, will the game be playable on RTX for 456 gigabytes? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the requirements for the game. You'll probably want to ask maybe in Discord if anybody has any of that information. But I personally don't. Daniel, thanks for another good stream. Croc is looking good. Thank you. So guys, yeah, if you have any questions about like the specs for the game or like release dates, things like that, if it's gonna be on console, stuff like that, I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to help you all out with those types of questions. Because I'm not that kind of dev. I just do the models. I do the artsy stuff, not the like tech stuff. So those types of questions, maybe try, like I said, try asking in Discord or check check the different sites for maybe, I'm not sure if we have a Steam page or anything just yet. I would check that stuff and see if you can find your answers there. Because yeah, I don't really have a say or like am privy to that sort of details. Okay. So we'll take one last look at this guy here. Take a look at the progress so far. So pretty good, I think. Like we did all of this stuff here. We did all of this. So it's a good chunk of the torso that we've done. We should be able to, I think we should be able to fill the rest of that out in the next stream. We can get moving on to some other stuff. It's coming along, I think. Yeah, let me just save really quick. Thank you guys for joining me on this stream today. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good weekend. And I'll see you next week. As always, yeah, if you have any questions, check on Echoes, check the Discord, keep an eye out on the YouTube channel. We'll have more news for you at the end of the month. And yeah, if you're interested in more of my artwork, you can check the links below to all of my social media sites and stuff. And yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming out. Have a good one.